Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you two joining methods that you can use to join the 9 granny squares that we're using for Anne's granny blanket. This method is the single crochet method. It has 3 styles. You can either go through the top of both stitches, use your back loops or your front loops. I've chosen to use my front loop here, but you can use whichever option you prefer. After I do the single crochet join with you, I'm then going to do the slip stitch join as well. Now before we start, I just want to let you know that I'm working in US terminology, and you will need your hook, the same size hook that you use to make your squares, scissors, darning needle, and your yarn of choice. I'm using white because it's the next one that comes up in my pattern, and I think it will look really nice standing out as well. Also, make sure that your squares are facing the right direction. Now what I mean is by having the very last round with its face up, okay? And in doing so, ironically, the center one has its face up as well. So that's a nice little treat. They're both got their best foot forward. Now here I have an outline of our 9 center squares. I usually lay them out on the floor and then pick them up 2 by 2 as I need them, but you can also just visually remember what you need to do as well, if you feel up to doing that. What we're going to do for the single crochet and the slip stitch join is the same thing. We're going to go in the same direction. So firstly, I'm going to pick up these 2 squares, and I'm going to be working vertically down my pattern of granny squares here. So we work vertically first. We do this row first and then this row. Then we come back and we do horizontally that row and that row. Of course you can start it the other way around, it doesn't matter. This is just how I like to mentally organize my granny squares when I'm joining them. Now you might be wondering, what do we do with the big gap in between the corners? It's as easy as bringing the next 2 squares next to these 2 and working your stitch straight from this corner into this one. All right, so let's get into it, and we're starting with these 2 squares. So I'm going to remove these other ones, pop them aside for when we've finished this section. Grab your yarn, and we're going to make a movable slip knot before we start anything. So yarn end in your right hand, wrap around 2 fingers on the left, draw up that loop through the center. Now what we're going to do is pull together the 2 corner chain spaces, okay? That's where we're going to begin. So all you have to do is pop your hook through those corners, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through both loops on your hook. Now, something a bit different here. You're going to wonder why I'm not just doing single crochet underneath the little V's on the top. Well, it actually develops a funny ridge that leans over to one side, and it just doesn't look as good as what we're going to do. Like that looks fine, but this is what happens. Okay, so I'll undo these and I will show you how we get around that. With the back sides together, you'll be able to see the front and back loop on the top of the stitch. You can either work into the back loop, which is the back loop on the first one, and it's actually the front loop on the one behind. Still the back loop, but it all depends on which way it's facing. So I'm going to call them both back loops for me in this tutorial, Anything that is facing each other at the back is the back loop. So we can pull that stitch through, yarn over and pull through 2. Now going through both back loops, finding the next one and the next. That is our first version of the single crochet, and it does sit a lot better. Now, the other thing you can do is use both the front loops. So the front loop is here for me, and on the other square, it's on the very outer. It's on the front side of the square for all accounts and purposes. Picking up the front loop, going through the front loop. Okay. They, to me, look exactly the same, but I think I'm hedging towards the front loop version. It seems that little bit flatter. So you can choose whichever way you would like, but I'm going to do the front loop. So back to having our slip knot on our hook. Pop your hook through the first corner and then through the second. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Now I need to find the front loop of this first stitch, which is actually the front loop of the hidden stitch. That teeny tiny little space that often gets hidden by corner stitches. It's on the top right hand side of the first double crochet. So pop your hook under that front loop. Now finding the front loop on the other side. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Moving on to the next. Hook under the front, hook down through the front of the square behind. Hook under, hook down, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both stitches on your hook for your single crochet. Hook under the front loop, hook down through the front loop. Hook under and hook down. Okay, I'm going to work my way across this square and I'll meet you back towards the end. Coming up to the corner, got 2 more stitches to do. That's 1 in the front loops, and now we just pop our hook in the corner chain space on both sides, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 stitches, and this is how we're looking. I'll show you the back side, which is like a whip stitch. That's very hidden, isn't it? Because we've used the front loop. But I'm liking what I'm seeing. So now we've just done these 2 squares. We're going to use these 2 squares. We're going to make sure our next squares are facing the right way, okay? We've got front to front. Next thing we have to do is jump across this little junction, and it's nothing to be worried about because all you do is pop your hook into both the corners, pull your loop up, yarn over, pull through 2 to make your single crochet, and it's as simple as that. We do a little bit more when we come across the horizontal section, but that's okay. We'll get to that in a minute. So now starting to pick up your front loops again. Work slow and steady through because it's not as fast as just doing single crochet underneath both V's, but I think still very worthwhile. Okay, I'll meet you at the end of this side. Now at the end of our row, all you do is single crochet into both of the corner chain spaces. And this is how we're looking. Now, you know how I said we are doing it vertically first? You might be wondering why I've got this laid horizontally, because it's just a whole lot easier to do in that way. It's all just about mental perception, really, to work through our joining and getting it right. So that's how it's really looking. This is what we've done so far. First and second row. We've joined 4 of the squares together, and then what we would do next is these 2. So then we would have a panel of 6 squares. Then what you do after that is join this one, then this, then this. Then you've got your 9 squares all joined by 2 vertical rows. Then all you have to do is go across, and that's what we'll do next. Now I'm at my horizontal junction. I haven't worked into the corners yet, so all we need to do is pop your hook into one, into the other, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both stitches. Now you can leave this or you can do a chain. So you're bridging over top of our vertical row with one chain and then going straight into those corner spaces. Let me show you what this looks like. Hang on a tick. Okay, there we go. That works well. Now, you can actually do it without a chain, which is what I used to do. So we've gone into both the corners here on the right side. We're going to jump over this little ridge and just go straight into the corners on the other side. So this is how we're looking without using a chain to go over top of that little ridge. It is a bit tight looking, but you know, much of a muchness. So we'll go personal preference for that one, okay? Chain or chainless. Now at some stage you're going to come up to a corner where you're thinking, why is it so hard to find my stitches and work into them? That's because that is the corner where you've darned in a number of yarn ends. And it makes it a little bit tricky, doesn't it? Do the best that you can do. That's all we can ask, isn't it? Okay, I'll head to the end of this row. And there we are. We've got our front loop only single crochet join. I think it's a lovely join. Now what I would consider once you've joined all 9 squares is whether you'd like to do a border around these inner squares in the single crochet to match this. That is completely up to you. It would be easier if it was just left like this and you could just keep working the granny stitch, because if you do a single crochet round, you're going to have to do a little bit of maths and work out where to place the next granny clusters. But you know what else you could do is a white round of granny clusters to make that match. Okay, that's just an option that you might want to consider. The second joining method I'm going to show you is by using the slip stitch. And I like the effect that that one gives as well. Look, I think I just like all of them. Of course, you're going to need your yarn, your hook, the same one you've been using throughout, scissors and a darning needle. Now, like the single crochet join, we do exactly the same thing here. By starting with the first 2 squares, we do our verticals first, and then we come back and do our horizontals. And Before we start, just make sure your square fronts are facing up, so that way you have the backs together. Even though we're mentally starting with our vertical join, I turn my squares around because this is not comfortable at all. Normally, I would pop it in the horizontal manner, but for the slip stitch join, I turn my work so it's on a bit of a slope like this. I find this way easy to use. Let's begin with a slip knot on our hook. Yarn end in your right hand, wrap around 2 fingers on the left, pull that loop up through the centre and you've got a movable slip knot. Now we need to have our yarn ahead of us. This is where we need to place it to do the slip stitch join. The starting is a little tricky, but then once you get going, it gets on a roll. What we're going to do is pick up the front loop of each side. So hook down into the front loop of the corner of this square. Picking up your work so you can see well. Pop your hook down the front loop of the corner of the other square. Yarn over and pull through all those loops on your hook. Okay? Pop your yarn down again, picking up your work. Pop your hook through, down the top of that front loop, down the top of the next one. Yarn over with your joining yarn and pull through all those stitches. Drop your joining yarn. Find your next front loop on the right side. A little bit tricky. Now front loop on the left. Yarning over, pull through all 3 stitches. Just going nice and gently to begin with. Hook goes down through the front loop and on the other side as well. Yarning over, pulling through all the stitches. Front loop on the right, front loop on the left, yarn over, pull through all the stitches. Front loop on the right, front loop on the left, yarn over, pull through all the stitches. Just do a few more of these with you because this one is a little bit tricky to get going. Okay, I've done both front loops, yarn over, pull through all the stitches. Down through the front loop, down through the other front loop, yarn over, pull through all the stitches. Front loop, yarn over, pull through. Front loop, yarn over, pull through. And this is how we're looking. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. That's brilliant. Okay, a few more stitches with you now. I'm at the end of my row. I'm just going to go into the front loop stitches of my corner and grab my next 2 squares. And I've got my yarn laid out ahead of me. We've finished the corner on this side. Now we need to go into the corners of the new squares. So we're going to find front loop and go down through that on the right side, front loop on the left and go down through that one. Yarn over and pull through all the stitches, including the one from the other squares. Now we'll go down front loop and down front loop. Yarn over, pull through. Front loop, yarn over, pull through. Front loop, yarn over, pull through. Front loop, yarn over, pull through. Once you get on a roll, you are able to lift up your work so you can see it better for one and it's not as awkward. Okay, let's go for front loop, yarn over, pull through. 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 Okay. You will develop your own style of holding your work and speeding up this process. I'm going to finish off this row and then we're going to do our horizontal. So here we've done what is essentially the first 4 squares in our vertical manner. Now I'm going to go across, firstly turning my work around. Now I've got my yarn. We'll pop a slip knot on our hook, laying your yarn down ahead of you. We want to go into front loop on the right side, front loop on the left, yarn over and pull through all the stitches. Picking up your work, front loop on the right, front loop on the left, yarn over, pull through all the stitches. Front loop, yarn over, pull through. Front loop, yarn over, pull through. Front loop, yarn over. Right, I've done my row and I'm up to my 4-corner junction. What I'm going to do here to jump over this row of stitches is just chain 1. Then you're going to pick up your stitches again, so your front loop only on your right side and your front loop only on your left. Yarn over and pull through all these stitches. Front loop, yarn over, pull through. It does take a bit of getting going once you go through one of these corners, but then you get on a roll again. Front loop, yarn over, pull through. And here we are with a nice little junction of slip stitch rows. And there we go, 4 of our squares are joined. Now what you would really do with your 9 squares is to take these 2 first and join them down here. Add these 2 on and join them down here. And again with these 2 and join them down here. Then you would have a panel of 6 that are joined on one side. Next, you would take this square and join it onto here. Same with this one onto here and that one onto here. Then you would have 2 rows of vertical joining stitch. Next up, you would do your horizontals. You've only got 2 rows to do. And I just had to do 4 squares like this so I could show you what to do with the junction. After doing this join, you might also consider doing a round of single crochet around the edge or not. Again, it's completely up to you. The next video is going to be your continuous join as you go method. So that's using granny clusters to join. A nice, fast, easy one, that one. And then the 4th method will be the flat braid. But after that, I will really be doing some sort of round in white after joining the 9 squares together. Okay, I am going to see you all in the next video for the continuous join as you go method. Happy crocheting everyone. Take care and I'll see you then. Bye for now.